All right, all right, all right. Grim, what up, brother?
Not much, man. What's up with you?
Uh, just chilling, getting ready for what's it, episode. This is episode 4 now, the Grim and Wiz project, right?
Yeah, it
Let's
is. It's,
go, let's go.
yes.
And I know for all our viewers on YouTube, anybody watching, this is episode 4, and we're going to be discussing some more Silent Hill F, as you know the game had released last month in September.
Yes.
And Grim, you and myself included, we've made some progress. So this is kind of going to be like a mid game review. You know, I haven't beaten it yet. To my understanding, you haven't beaten it yet, right?
No, I have not.
Mm. So, and I believe we're around the same point, right? We're at about the same point in the game.
Yeah. Yes, we are. Yeah. We're yes, we're essentially at the exact same spot.
All right, all right. So in this episode, Grim and I, we're gonna be talking about just where we're at in the game, our thoughts, our
Mhm.
feelings, and etc. etc. I know I got excuse me, I got a couple of streams underneath my belt right now, and you know, so far I'm having a good time with it. What do you think so far, Grim? How is Silent Hill F been treating you? What are your thoughts as of this point we're at right now?
I'm still adjusting because of the fact that obviously they're they're no longer incorporating guns in this particular entry. So it's I'm still adjusting to the strict melee weapons.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it definitely is. It definitely I've noticed myself throughout the gameplay. And for those that haven't played Silent Hill F yet, you might want to consider not watching this video now, but waiting until you've actually experienced the game for a bit, because Grim and I don't want to give any spoilers away. But as Grim was just saying, right, dude, it's definitely there is that different feel. Everything is, um, every weapon you pick up is a melee weapon, and I know going into this, we knew that was going to be the case. That was something that um, was showcased during like the game demo. I think it was even talked about in interviews as well with the
Yeah,
developers. But
yeah,
it is something to getting used to, because you know in in other Silent Hill titles that I've played, whether it be Silent Hill or Silent Hill 2, Silent Hill 3, you get melee weapons. At some point, you'd get a pistol, a rifle, a shotgun, even. And,
hmm
at least if you ran out of ammo or something, you could rely on these melee weapons that had, they didn't, there was no durability. That's one thing that I noticed that I've struggled with a bit in terms of combat,
yeah,
just with the weapons, is after a set amount of time, like if you get a steel pipe, if you get like a kitchen knife, you know after some wear and tear, these weapons break and they're no longer available to you.
yeah. But from what I've learned, to remedy that, you need to find toolkits to fix.
Yeah, yeah. No, they have the toolkits. I've noticed that the pacing of the game just is it's a bit different now, because I've noticed through my playthrough now, I'm playing um, the combat and everything on story mode, and I'm playing the puzzles on hard mode. So bringing that up, I believe you're going story mode on both, right?
Yeah,
So I thought that by playing on story mode that there'd be way more melee weapons available. Now, granted, I've probably missed a couple of them, but so far all I have found is a kitchen knife and a steel pipe, really.
There's also a baseball bat.
I haven't gotten to the baseball bat yet then, but even then, like, and then when you go on into the other world, you get like that little like that blade, that sheath blade, and then there is that other weapon that, that staff like weapon that has I forgot what it's called. I do apologize, but it has like that blade at the end of it as well, which that one is a lot of fun to fight. In combat, that one's a lot of fun to mess around with.
Right.
Now, in terms of combat, what are some of your thoughts there?
I've learned that it's best to know when to fight and when to run. Because if you fight every single monster you come across, you're screwed in terms of your melee weapons are going to get destroyed.
Yeah.
And then and if you only have one melee weapon, I hate to say it, but you're shit out of luck. You're you're in deep shit, deep trouble.
There has been a couple of moments where I have been in deep waters. One particular puzzling area where with the scarecrows and everything, and I was down to my last steel pipe. It was dinged up pretty badly, and like I had like minimal resources left in terms of like being able to recover stamina or health or even sanity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which that's something too, like going in. I'll get into that in a second, but yeah, they really make it where you have to choose, like, okay, am I gonna get into this fight or am I gonna run? Do I have the ability to run away from this and progress in the game, or is this something where, okay, this enemy's in the way, I gotta take him out so this way I can kind of progress down this alleyway or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's been very interesting, especially like going over like the sanity meter and things like that. Like when you have like the focus mode and sanity and things like that. These are things that I'm still having, that I'm still getting a grasp on.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely, I've noticed some struggles myself where, like, the focus meter, like, while I was streaming it on Twitch and Kick, like, chat definitely gave me a couple pointers here and there on how to use it, because even though, like, reading through the tutorials, I wasn't like quite grasping like what it is I needed to do there. Like I'm even not that great with dodging. But yeah, it's the combat is very it's definitely challenging in this game.
Yeah.
And yeah, choosing when to fight and choosing when to run, it plays a big part on in this game, whether or not you're playing story mode or hard mode. I can't even imagine. Like, I heard the mechanics change a bit on hard mode. Talking to some of my viewers, where they started their first playthrough on hard, like the combat on hard and the puzzles on hard, and when you go to like a save, like a prey area where you could save your game on story mode,
Yeah.
it restores your sanity and things like that, where on hard mode I heard that's not the case. Like, you need to find those objects to help restore sanity, because after a while, like, do you fully understand like the sanity part?
Not completely.
Yeah, same. Like, I know that there's the focus meter. It's I'm getting how to use that.
Yeah.
I noticed that crescent moon section on the HUD is that's your weapon durability. Excuse me.
Yeah, it is. Yes.
And then the sanity meter, and then there's your health meter, and then there's your stamina meter.
Right.
It's definitely like, for me, for myself, it's something that, like, I have a hard time keeping track of all the different meters. I have struggled there a bit. And I feel like the sanity meter has, like, something to do with, your focus, like, and then, like, once you run out of sanity, like, it starts depleting your health when you're, like, abusing the focus mode. That's like me. This is just what I'm, like, trying to figure out here is, like I said, as many times as I've read, like, through the tutorial,
Mm-hmm.
this game has been one of the more challenging Silent Hill games for me to figure out. It's definitely been a wild ride so far.
Yeah. For me, it's still an adjustment.
Mm. Um, like, even counteracting or counterattacking enemies, like when they glow, like, it's such, like, a small window, and my reaction time is not that great. I think I've only pulled that off twice so far, and I've done about 3 streams of Silent Hill F. Probably putting in about, I don't know, in terms of gameplay, like, I'd say I think I've put in about, like, at least 6 to 7 hours of gameplay. Other than just, like, shooting the shit with everybody and just, like, quick bathroom breaks and things like that. Like, I think a total of, like, maybe like between 6 and 8 hours of gameplay, and I find myself still struggling with certain parts of the game, certain mechanics of the game. Do you feel like, do you feel like this is, how do you feel about it? Like, do you like it? Do you hate it? Is it one of the things that, like, is, at this point, I thought that you'd already finished the game. So hearing that, like, you're around the same, point in the story that I am,
I mean, me personally, I'm playing it in chunks. I'm playing a good hour, a couple hours here and there. I'm spacing it out because, obviously, if I play, if I play a significant amount of it, I'm then going to be, beating it faster than I want to, which I understand, and that's, for me, that's why I want to try and go for this platinum because of that, because of the fact that, hey, if I end up only beating this one time, then I'm not gonna pick it back up for another several weeks or another several months. You know what I mean?
mm.
Like real quick, talking about Silent Hill 2's remake real quick. That's essentially what I did with that.
Yeah.
Now, just to clarify, I did not do that at my own at my own free will. I was forced to do that in a manner of speaking, because during one of Silent Hill 2's puzzles, where you gotta turn the face and then get into those different worlds or whatever, or areas.
Oh, yeah.
There was like a worldwide glitch with that particular area, and
yeah.
And it didn't get patched or fixed for a long period of time. So unfortunately, I couldn't platinum it in a fair amount of time. I had to wait probably a lot longer than I should have, because I didn't get around to platinuming my copy of Silent Hill 2 until March of 2025.
Okay.
Now, granted, had it not been for that unfortunate bug or whatever, I would have probably platinumed it in maybe around November, maybe, or something like that. So
it definitely impacted your trophy hunting there.
Yes.
Yeah. And like you're kind of feeling that way with Silent Hill F right now. Like, are there certain things with this game that are impacting your trophy hunting?
Well, I mean, well, not right this second, but but when I get to the hard combat, more so the hard combat. I'm not worried about the puzzles. I'm not worried about that. I'm
Yeah.
worried about the hard combat because obviously if they're going to hit harder and so on and so forth, it's going to put a lot more stress on me because because I don't work well with hard difficulties.
It's definitely. I just even noticing throughout story mode, it's you know, the story difficulty. It still makes you really like consider your resources in combat to get into. Again, I can't even imagine how much more difficult things are going to be like when going through the hard mode in that regard. I know when I first played Silent Hill 2 remake with Passion, and we had everything set to I want to say normal difficulty, and I was just getting my ass handed to me left and right. It was brutal. Um,
Yes.
and then later on, just like when I did the second stream solo, I ended up switching the combat difficulty down a notch. Um, Because holy shit, I don't know if it's just my reflexes or maybe my gaming ability, but I don't remember struggling so much in previous titles that I've played. So,
Right.
and don't get me wrong, like I am enjoying the game. I'm noticing certain things as for me personally, um, not having even in story mode a plethora of of melee weapons to you know to go through the game
Yeah.
and feel confident that you have the weapons to get past certain areas. Like recently, I did just pick up a sledgehammer, so that was I think one of the other melee weapons I found so far. And it does put like the whole strategy thought in there of like, well, then I don't want to use this sledgehammer because I only have one repair kit. And if this thing starts taking damage, I want to be able to repair that because it looks like a damage dealer. Um, and at the current moment, I only have 3 weapon slots. So
Yeah.
I'm concerned about like what I pick up, what I put down, what I get rid of.
Right. I too found the sledgehammer, but I did not know. I did not pick that up because from what I heard, the charge for your special your your charge attack, the charge on it is too slow. It's not fast enough.
Mm, mm.
So I personally did not pick up the sledgehammer.
Yeah, it's something that like timing is going to be very important. I noticed timing is very important in a lot of the combat. And that's where like again, like I know we've talked about like it looks like it's got that Souls kind of vibe to it, the like those Souls games. And I was never very good at those.
No.
I am noticing that like as I am progressing throughout Silent Hill F, um, it does build the tension. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to sit there and like sound like uh, you know, not that we're complaining about it. We're just kind of pointing out certain things, but it builds that bigger tension of like that fight or flight response to certain areas of the game, certain enemies, things like that. Where it's like, well, I want to preserve my steel pipe over here, so I gotta. I'm taking a dip right now. I'm bouncing. Uh, and trying to be a little bit more stealthy. The map is the map is incredible in this game. Can we talk about that for a minute? It is
Yeah, it's
big.
huge.
Like it is. If you're not paying attention to the map, you could very, very easily get lost in this game.
Yeah.
You know, and
Right.
like it's like whoa, shit. When I pulled the map up, I was like, Well, we got a lot to explore now, don't we?
Yeah.
What are some like, excuse me. What are throughout your gameplay, throughout your playthrough so far? When you can go to like the save spot and you can enshrine like you can do the enshrining. You find those prey tablets that you can up your health, your stamina, your sanity, and then the Omi Nasha tablets that you can equip. Like, what has been your game plan so far on how you've gone about that? Have you found a lot of that stuff? Have you put any of those stats in there like that? And again, if so, like what like what has been your style of gameplay?
Inventory. Which, speaking of which, if I don't know if you looked in the lockers at the school, but in one of the lockers there was a satchel bag that gives you an extra space.
I did find that. I was able to open about 3 of those lockers. That puzzle was a really interesting one.
Right. Okay.
Like the answers to the locker combos.
Yeah. Yeah. My journal's full, man. I've been finding a lot of notes and shit. But for me, like stats wise, my first attribute that I fully maxed out was my space.
Okay.
And now I'm doing stamina. I'm working on stamina.
Okay. That's it. Okay, I like that. I've been going like more towards like I definitely threw 1 towards health, 1 towards stamina, and then I did grab an extra Ami. That's one thing I've been butchering with this game is I have not been able to pronounce anything. I don't think I've been pronouncing anything properly. So apologize to anybody watching for me butchering these names, but even like those slots where I saw like because now I can hold 2 of them, and I've picked up a couple of them now, and just to increase my stamina and shorten the cooldown meter on the focus. Like, I have been like messing around a little bit here and there between switching and having like just having 2 of them equipped at the same time.
Right.
I feel like it's definitely benefited me. And it's also really cool to see that like, you can like based on, your style of gameplay and how you go through these sorts of games that you can, customize it to a degree to how you play. So, like, just even right now, you said you didn't focus on health at all. So, you're not worried about health. You want to be able to run, get out of or dodge out of a tough situation and things like that.
Essentially, because like I said, in this case with this Silent Hill, like I said previously, it's important that you know when to fight and when not to. It's really important to know when you should run, because you're SOL. I mean, yes, obviously strengthening your health is beneficial, obviously, but I don't know. I just keep going back to, you got to know when to run and when not to.
Yeah. No, I do agree with that. And it's something, ladies and gentlemen, that you definitely want to consider. Like if you're picking up this game for the first time and you're thinking to yourself, oh, well, there's been a lot of hype behind Silent Hill F. I'm going to go in there and I'm just going to beat everything up.
No.
No,
you're just gonna put yourself in a bad spot.
Yeah. I was actually going back to the Scarecrow puzzle that I went through. I was in such rough shape that I had very little health, my health bar was like at one point, like I was basically going through the game. I was a one shot kill. If an enemy hit me once, it was over. And now I know I have like the puzzles on hard, which I did notice you can't just like in Silent Hill 2 remake, you can't just go back. You can't be in the middle of the game, pause it, and switch the difficulty.
Nope.
It looks like once you're set from when you first fire the game up and you get to as you're hitting new game and everything, whatever difficulty you choose for combat and puzzles, that's what you're doing the rest of the game. And
Yeah.
some of these have just been. I wouldn't say I'm fantastic at figuring out puzzles. I think I'm pretty good. This game has definitely thrown me for a loop on understanding like the riddles and the puzzles and things like that.
Yeah.
I'm beginning to second guess myself. Like was putting puzzles on hard difficulty the way to go? And yeah, it's I mean, again, thank God that chat has helped me out with it a bit, and like it feels like I'm going through it with my viewers as we're going through these puzzles together and seeing what it like the solutions that everyone's come up to has been just throwing different things in there has been helpful in my progression so far. So again, big shout outs to my chat for helping me out there. It's been insane. I think dude, Grim, the Scarecrow puzzle, like I was saying, I was like a one-shot kill. I would just go up and I was getting to the point I was getting so frustrated because I did not understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought I did. I'd look at the other Scarecrows and go, it's gotta be this one. Go up, examine, pull the little pin out of it, and then it just comes to life and psh, I'm dead. I think I spent about an hour over there. I must have died easily 40, 50 times.
Yeah, I saw that.
But yeah, it is interesting. It's incredible for me. It's been incredibly difficult. In certain games that I've played in the past, if there was a puzzle or something that I didn't understand, and then like whether it was Chad or even yourself, they gave me a hand. Like, oh, take a look at this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I've literally sat back there after solving the puzzle through some assistance from everybody, and like, well, how did we come to this answer? And been able to look at things and go, oh, I get it now. I get it.
Yeah.
There have been certain areas of Silent Hill F where I'm still scratching my head, going, "Whoa, that's holy shit!" I still don't fully understand this puzzle.
Right.
What What's up?
Sorry.
No, go ahead. What's up?
What are your thoughts on some of the characters?
Ooh, yeah. This is they definitely got an interesting cast of characters here. I mean, as the main protagonist that you play as, Hinako.
Yeah.
I'm very curious as to like I like her.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Bit of a tomboy. I mean, we're going back to like what is this 1950s Japan?
60s.
1960s?
Yeah.
I thought it was 50s.
No.
But yeah, going back to 1960s Japan, and she's like she's a bit of a tomboy, which was not really something that like, and they even kind of like talk about it throughout like the cutscenes, like it's not something that like that girls were like that wasn't like a that wasn't part of like just the culture. As what I've been experiencing, but I do like her character and her relationship with her friend Shu,
Yeah.
and how how she how they react with each other. Shu looks like he's the he's the kid that like she has like I want to say that there is like some feelings there between
Right.
the two of them, and then you got Rinko, um, Hinako's friend, which I feel like friend is like I use that term, like, use that word loosely.
Yeah, I do not trust her.
I don't trust her either. Um, and I'm just kind of like the characters. I have been enjoying the cutscenes between the three of these characters. I want to say they're all in like they're all of high school age.
Yeah,
So it's it is very interesting to see that that relationship between the three of them. Like I said, I'm right there with you. I don't trust Rinko at all. It does create. I feel like that you can sense the jealousy of Rinko when it comes to how like Shu and Hinako, like how their how their relationship with each other is.
yeah.
And just like again, like just trying to understand like where the story's going here. Um, I am excited to get toward get through this my first playthrough and just have all the puzzle pieces put together. But
Right.
like one thing that's really throwing me through a loop right now, throwing me for a loop right now is like the cutscenes between these three characters I've seen. They keep saying that Hinako is dead, and I'm like, but then she comes into the room and they're like, "Oh, hey, how you doing, girl?" I'm like, "Wait, are we a ghost? Like, what the fuck? Like what's going on here? Like, are we not? They can see me, but they keep every time I approach a door and hear them talking amongst each other and hearing Rinko saying we're dead. Oh, Hinako's dead. Like maybe she's talking in the sense of like, oh no, she's out there by herself. She probably died to the monsters. I don't know. I feel like a lot of things are very, very like very confusing right now with these characters.
Hmm.
Like the
Yeah.
only thing that I've got a full grasp on is Rinko is jealous of us and the relationship that we have with Shu. This other Fox character, the guy with the Fox mask on,
Right.
he is. I don't trust him either. Very
I don't either.
suspicious, right?
I don't either. And through me playing a variety of games over the years, I mean, I feel like he's gonna turn on us.
Yeah. There have been moments throughout the story where I'm like, I don't know who to trust anymore. And just the way that you know, the way they're telling this story with these characters, I think it's great because to leave you sitting there like wondering what the fuck is going on here, that it creates that like I need to get back into this. Like as soon as you end, your gaming session, you're just sitting there going, I can't wait to fire it up again because now there's so much more I need to know about this.
Yeah.
Mm. Oh, give me 2 seconds, bro. I'll be right back. I apologize. Just got to use the restroom real quick.
All right.
All right. Sorry about that, dude.
It's all right.
Right. But yeah, what about you, man? How do you feel about the character so far? Do you have a favorite?
Well, obviously, I do not trust Renko. He's not all there. She's not. I mean, I mean, you saw what she did to Hinako on the stairs. She got possessed or some shit. Pushed her down the stairs, and yeah, her being, having a stick up her ass because Hinako and Shu are close.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, based on some files that I came across in the school, someone wishes Hinako would die.
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty aggressive.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, it seems like the only primary characters that are currently, that we're dealing with are Hinako, Shu, Rinko, and the Fox guy. So I mean, I don't know, because I mean, I just have to say that Hinako, and Shu are my only two favorites at this point, because like I said, I don't trust Rinko. I don't trust the Fox guy. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
no.
I'd have to say for me, so far the Fox guy is just because I don't trust him. I do like his character because it just raises a lot of questions. Like, we've seen in previous Silent Hill titles, you have the regular world and then you have this other world, right?
Yeah.
And it seems like every time, like you brought up, this whole scene where it appears that Rinko pushed Hinako down the stairs and then she falls unconscious at the bottom and then wakes up in the other world. Right. And that's where we find this fox, this guy in a fox mask with these glowing eyes, and he's always there. And it seems like he is either one of two things. He's either stuck in this world or he owns this world. Like he is like the dominant figure in this world. It's in previous Silent Hill titles, like when we go into the other world, it's a lot of dark, a lot of red, a lot of rust, a lot of steel grated floors, like rusted metal grated floors and broken buildings and things like that. Where in the other world in this game, it's just this very dark, very distant, it's definitely, it looks like it does not take place in the same area of like Japan that where we currently are playing through when we're in the real world, if you want to call it that.
Right.
Like I've noticed in Silent Hill games, like in Silent Hill 1, like you're in the school in the real world, and then you go through that door in the courtyard and you come out, you're back at the school, the layout is the same, but everything visually is very different.
Yeah.
Where in this game, you're going through this village that you lived in, but then when you go into the other world, I have no idea where the fuck we are, but it's clearly not like the village recreated in this very rusted, like broken down, tormented section, like we've seen in previous titles. Like, am I making sense, like, in how I'm describing it?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like that definitely like has made like our friend the guy in the fox mask. I'm putting him in there as one of my favorites because I have no idea how he's tied to anything. I have a theory if you want to hear that.
Sure.
I think he's Shu, but Shu as an older man.
It makes sense.
You know, like he's helping Hinako, and he's there for her, just like Shu is in the real, or like in the actual world compared to the other world. So like I have this theory that our man in the fox mask is somehow he's Shu, but like I don't know. I'm still like I think that there's a tie there somewhere.
I can get behind that.
So, but yeah, in terms of the game so far, it's been quite the journey.
Yeah.
What are like even like visually the game is gorgeous. The graphics are beautiful. The scenery is incredible. Um, One thing I've noticed, like with like original Silent Hill, like some of the not original, but some of the other Silent Hill titles, when you're going through like the town of Silent Hill, it's like everything is very heavily based in fog, which
Yeah.
we see that here as well. But also now we're seeing flowers all over the place, this and it's just overwhelming the town with like these pink flowers,
Yeah.
and masses and things like that. And I'm very curious as to like what the hell that has to do with anything. Like where they're going with that is, I'm very curious.
Yeah. I mean, as of right this second, I personally don't know what the significance is.
Right?
Yeah.
Hmm. So, but what were some other things I wanted to talk about? Is there anything else? So we just went over some of the characters, and like right now, the character development is very interesting. Again, jealousy looks like it's a big part of this game.
Yeah. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, but everything I listed. I mean, for me, off my list, the majority of my lists revolves around Rinko because I'm just like, yeah, and then I was talking about the weapons or having to fix the weapons is can be very stressful. But like I
Yeah.
said, I personally haven't gotten to that point yet where where I have to fix anything. But
Okay.
regardless, I mean, it probably will get to that point once I strengthen the combat difficulty for myself.
Oh yeah, big time.
But uh, the majority of my points had to do with Renko because like I said, I don't trust her. She got possessed and pushed Hinako down the stairs. Like you said, she has a jealous streak.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and from what I can gather from the files that I've come across at the school, like I said, someone wishes death upon Hinako. Now, who that is, I don't know. But I mean, obviously, someone really hates Hinako. I mean, to go and wish death upon her, yeah, no.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's just weird.
It's like trying to figure out what this story is about between these characters, because I mean, just even like before Silent Hill F was released, we had Silent Hill 2 Remake got released, right? That was the last Silent Hill title.
Yeah.
And just like as for those that aren't familiar with Silent Hill, it is definitely a game that is that's psychological horror, where like you have like survival horror, which is mainly like Resident Evil, and just some of the things we've seen in the past, where there's a lot of action incorporated in it. Whether you're thinking like maybe Callisto Protocol or Dead Space, where like there's still those elements of fear and finding out like again just going through the story and everything. With Silent Hill, there's always been like that psychological like take on things where as you learned, and again spoilers here, but with Silent Hill 2 Remake, like just Silent Hill 2 in general, You're playing as James Sunderland, a character that struggled with guilt and again the loss of his wife and a lot of things that went like the path that went down that like you kind of uncover that story where like even when you're running into people in the game like you run into Laura
Mhm.
and she doesn't see any of the monsters that James is seeing or
No.
or anybody else in the game like Eddie. I bring that up to kind of go into this is now as we're going through Silent Hill F, all three of these characters that that we're seeing throughout the game with Hinako, the character you're playing as, Shu,
Hmm. Yeah.
and Rinko, they're all seeing these monsters too. So it it's really throwing me off right now because okay, the only thing that I can figure from this is that they are all guilty in some way of something.
Right. Could be.
Because otherwise, why are they seeing these monsters? They're all seeing them, and it's not like they're seeing different versions of the monsters. Clearly, it looks like they're all seeing the same kind of monster where
Right.
it's like you get into that one scene where they're trying to get back to Shu's place and that giant monster with the big ass fucking blade on his arm is blocking the way and they're like there's no way we're getting around that. Sorry about that. I'm hitting things over here. But there's no way we're getting around that. And they're even saying it in the cutscene too. So clearly they're seeing the same thing that we, the gamer, are seeing.
Yeah.
So I just going back to it, it's like how do my thought is that they're all guilty of something, that
Yeah.
they're experiencing this psychological threat together.
Right.
What's your take on that? How do you feel about this experience that these three characters are going through?
Well, I mean, well, yeah. I mean, yeah. It makes sense because quickly referring back to Silent Hill 2, yeah, Laura wasn't. She wasn't encountering anything. But James was obviously because of his guilt and so on and so forth. So that only makes sense that these three are dealing with some sort of personal matters or something.
Yeah,
Like some sort of trauma to some extent.
yeah,
But what that trauma could possibly be, I don't know. I mean, granted, in Hinako's case, her family life is a mess. Her dad's an alcoholic.
mm-hmm.
Her mom is like kind of somewhat oblivious to it.
Or just like repressing it, or just pushing it away. Like, no, everything's fine.
Could
Um,
be.
and then Hinako's got a sister. I forgot what the sister's name was. You don't like we saw that in the beginning of the game, and I think there was a scene in the school where she was brought up again, but like she's brought up so little that I forgot her name. Is it like Sakuko or something like that? Hold on a second. Let me.
Well, from what I remember off the top of my head, she went and got married, and really, yeah, hasn't been around since.
Junko. Junko.
Okay.
You just double check that. Yes. Hinako's sister's name is Junko Kanuta.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I don't know where I came up with the other one. I think that was a boss fight or something. I know there was that one boss fight with the bell. Which that was a really cool fight. I did enjoy that fight.
Yeah, that was a bitch to do for me because, well, only because there's a hidden trophy tied to that. If you beat that boss without her attack, without her bell attack affecting you, you'll get a trophy. You'll get another trophy.
Oh God. Oh boy.
You
Yeah,
know, so
that
so
ought to
yeah.
be challenging.
I mean, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't terrible for me to do, but I had to restart the damn fight like I don't know how many times.
Oh, like
Yeah,
reload a save spot.
yeah, because there's that shrine right outside the door,
Yeah, yeah.
and yeah, I had to reload it like 8 or 9 fucking times. But you know, cause I mean, I know. I mean, granted, I know I don't have to worry about those hidden trophies that are tied to like bosses and shit. But with how whatever I am with trophies and crap, I want to try and knock that as soon as as soon as the opportunity arises, because I don't want to have to go back and do it on like a higher difficulty and shit, because then that would make it way worse.
Yeah, yeah.
So for me, it's important for me to knock all that shit out while I'm playing on story combat, because otherwise it's just not going to happen on a higher difficulty.
Yeah, yeah. It is. Yeah, I could see knocking that out the bat right, like right away is, you know, I get you there, dude.
And
Um,
yeah, oh sorry.
but no, 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 no. I was just thinking, like, like, yeah, these, you know, we were talking about Junko, and you don't hear a lot about her,
No.
and from what we gather from the story so far, and just what we learned from the beginning of the game up until like this point, the very little bit that I know about her, um, you know, she's obviously like the golden child, if you will, of the family.
Yeah.
Where Hinako is kind of this like black sheep, like outcast kind of character.
Yeah.
So I do wonder again if like jealousy has a play, like in you can clearly see it in some aspects, but like going into the story and why this is happening to this town, and happening to Hinako, it's is she alive? Is she dead? Who's the biggest threat here? Is it Rinko? Is it the fox? The guy in the fox mask? Like, so far, in terms of like reviewing this game as like a mid playthrough review, all these things have been very interesting to go down this rabbit hole. And we
Mm-hmm.
talked about the combat, the graphics, and everything, and just how we feel about that. Uh,
Yeah.
what else is there? What else is there to talk about? I had something off the top of my head that I wanted to bring up, and then I just kind of lost it there for a second. Um, uh,
Uh,
oh man, yeah, we talked about the weapons and items. What were you sounded like you were gonna bring something up, Grim.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think.
Okay, mine just popped back in. So, in terms of like just going over and just kind of reviewing the level of fear, and like the we talked about how like having weapons with durability, and how having to the fight or flight, that do you fight the monsters or do you save your weapons and run, and that
Mhm.
creates tension there. In
Yeah.
terms of just the game and the playthrough, the story itself, the atmosphere that's been created, how do you feel about, what are your main feelings and thoughts about like the atmosphere of Silent Hill F, and how it's like how you as I know you play a lot, you play a variety of games, but I know horror happens to be up there in your wheelhouse. How do you feel about how your first playthrough is going, in terms of like when you're looking at the initial fear that the game is meant to instill in players?
I don't know. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or what, but I just don't. for this, I mean, unfortunately for me, I don't feel scared when I'm playing Silent Hill F because in the in the traditional sense because like I said, I don't know. It could just be because I'm getting older, and it just these quote horror games just don't have that effect on me anymore now that I'm getting older. But
Okay.
like fear, I mean, in the traditional sense, it's not. Unfortunately, it's not a game that actually scares me. But in the sense of having to manage your inventory, manage your keep tabs on your weapon durability and shit. Now it scares me in that sense because
Yeah.
because of the stress and shit. Otherwise, in the traditional horror sense, no, it doesn't have that same effect on me anymore.
Okay, so like as like you're kind of reviewing this, reviewing Silent Hill F. Other than just like the worrying about inventory management and weapon management,
Yeah.
the story and the enemies and things like that have not really put a sense of fear and urgency in you to like get past certain parts or like just even if you fumbled around with the controller. You think they you feel like they've kind of lacked in creating that scary atmosphere?
Yeah, I think so. But like I said, that only stems from me, just me being older now. I'm
Yeah.
not I'm not 10, 11 years old anymore. So, I mean, again, don't get me wrong, I love the game. I do,
No.
but
This is your opinion here. Like it's you know, it's not that you hate the game, but like as you're reviewing it so far, this is in a way a criticism that you have of the game that the atmosphere itself is not. You're not sitting there like, oh God, what's around this corner or things like that. You're just kind of going through it like it's another day at the office. Again, we've played horror games for a large portion of our lives, and
yeah,
people like at certain like some people you get desensitized towards it. Like it just doesn't affect you like that anymore.
no, not anymore.
I think for me, like I am seeing this like very nice balance of you know even though like I've also played horror games for a long time. There's
Yeah,
just something like my desensitizing meter is it's a lot slower than everybody else's because I still find moments of like, oh God, what's around this corner. Like I noticed throughout the beginning of the game, I I didn't feel it so much. Like there was those moments of tension where like you have like the flowers chasing you and like you're trying to get out of there.
yeah,
And I was like, oh my God, like I was like stressing out about that. I was like, where do I go? But after that, everything else just kind of seemed like they were just showing you like, okay, here's this enemy. And this is what you could do here. This is how you do this. I think tutorial wise, I feel like them explaining the combat and everything kind of dulling the fear. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like they're like, this is how you want to learn how to. This they're teaching you how to fight these enemies, but like, to introduce them in that way was just like, I didn't really feel like true fear up until like I think the points where I really like where it really started setting in for me, where it was actual like like I was like, oh shit, what's about to happen, compared to like like, oh my God, this is taking forever to get past this part. Like I would say they did get me with one jump scare,
right.
which an enemy popped out from behind like a crate or something, and I was like, oh, okay, you got me on that one. I wasn't paying attention there. I wasn't ready for that. There was like that level of calm before the storm, and then like I'm just sitting there. They relaxed me into a state of comfort, and then just hit me with a jump scare.
Yeah, and that's for me, that's probably one of the main things that pisses me off about Silent Hill F. The fact that in the beginning they're freezing every so often, walking you through the tutorial and shit, the combat tutorial, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
All you're doing is fucking breaking us from the immersion. At least with Silent Hill 2, they did not fucking do that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with that. I agree with that. Um, I think that there could be a different way that they could have approached that, where like a tutorial during the gameplay. Like, what if they were to have done something like, just like a side, like just something like where it's a small arena, you go into it, and it's something that's recommended for new players to learn and understand the combat.
Yeah.
Where you just you see a basic enemy, and they just keep it keep it simple, keep it to the basics, where it's like, this is how this works, this is how this works, this is how this works. Your stamina meter, your focus meter, your sanity meter. We all know how health works.
Yeah.
And even if the durability of weapons, and just like if they could have condensed that into one piece of the game, where it's just like, you got new game, you got your options, this, that, and the third, extras, and then over there it's like a brief tutorial. Because I do agree, like, when you're meeting enemies for the first time and they just give you that pause screen, I was like, okay, well, this is how we initially would like you to approach this, and explain how the mechanics of combat and things work. Now you're sitting there reading it, and you're like, well, okay, like,
it's like, yeah, what the fuck? Why are you breaking the immersion?
Yeah, it definitely dulls it a bit. And then when it comes to video games, I don't mind like a jump scare here and there.
Yeah.
But my big thing, like, for me, is like, to create that tension. Which, don't get me wrong, Silent Hill F does have that. In terms of, again, like we discussed, like, you're worried about your weapons, you're worried about inventory and things like that. But when you see an enemy for the first time, and then they're like, well, don't get hit by the noise. You're like, well, what's like, I'm looking for that, like, that creation of, again, like, if an enemy's stalking me. Like, I think one of the scariest moments I've had in the game, and even if, like, I didn't showcase it as much on stream, what I was actually going through internally to that point was when you're doing the Scarecrow puzzle. And I know I keep bringing that part up, but that was like a part that really, like, kind of just stuck with me. Is you get through one section of it, you go to the next section, and there's a different riddle that you have to deal with. But then, like, when you're not looking at some of the scarecrows, and you hear the in your headset, or like your surround sound, or like however the audio that you're using, and you're like, you turn around and then it stops, and you're like, one of these fuckers is moving. I'm in trouble. And, like, it's like that really created, like, the goosebumps, like, that chicken skin on my, on me, like, where I'm just like, oh, okay, now I'm freaking out a little bit. I like this. Like, which one of these scarecrows is moving? Which one's sneaking up on me? Sometimes it was two of them, and I enjoyed that.
Right.
And then they, like, I don't know if it's like a slow build, because, again, we're only like, if we're even halfway through the game, this is just where we're at right now. But even going through the school, like, you could see that they're slowly starting to build, like, for me, they're starting to build those levels of creepiness where you get past a certain point, you find a key, you find something you got to unlock, to progress the game, and then you come back to the school, and now those like scarecrow looking motherfuckers are back, and they're very I believe they represent Hinako, Shu, and Rinko just based off of what how they look.
Could be.
And
That makes sense.
right, and it's like it does create like when I came back to the school and saw them sitting there, I was like, oh shit, here we go. But even then, I knew from the fields where I did the scarecrow puzzle, I knew one of them was going to attack me.
Yeah.
And I think like one way they could have went about that is because that's where like it was creepy seeing him there, but now I already know one of them's going to attack me, right? That was my thought process off the bat. And then as soon as I walked up to one and it did try to attack me, I was like, okay, well, now I know this is something I have to expect. And where the creepiness built up, it came right back down for me there. I think it would have been clever to keep that stalking kind of atmosphere where, even if they don't attack you, I think one way that they could have gone about that section is no combat, right? Hell, they don't even have to move. Or maybe if they move, they didn't have to move a lot. But just to like make that suspense build up where you're like, okay, who's going to attack me? And then it never happens kind of deal,
Right.
So I am seeing like, I feel like, and I do agree with you in this, is like the most tension I felt and stressed I felt, other than like the scarecrow fields, was just worrying about my, do I have enough supplies? Do I have enough durability in my weapons to get past this point?
Yeah.
I'll say in terms of, again, creating that fear, the audio in the game is incredible. Like, it does build that suspense. But just from going through it, like, I agree. Like, there have been moments where the immersion of, in game has been taken away through where I'm going back to my journal way too much. Like it's showing me like, oh, click up on the D-pad, go back to your journal. We have something else to tell you about. And I don't hate it, but I feel like it could have been mitigated a bit,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even when we look at the boss fight, that boss fight with the bell.
Yeah.
I really. That's another thing. We don't have granted on story mode, I don't know if that's the same on hard mode, but on story mode, we don't have durability for our weapons in the other world. They're just infinite. And I'm like, wait, what? Because anything we collect in the other world comes back with us when we snap out of this dream state. But, you only get those weapons in the other world. With the first playthrough. Excuse me. And that's like something, like, to me right there is, well, how come I can take back, like, when I awaken from this other world, the chocolate or whatever I've collected, the red pills for health, whatever I've collected comes back with me. But the weapons stay in the other world, and I'm back with the weapons that I started with. And just even going into that boss fight, I wasn't scared. I was just like, okay, well, we just got to take the boss down. I don't know how long it's going to take, but that's what I got to do. And then there we go. Okay, boss is dead. Done.
Right.
Where, like, I feel like, and I'm just going to keep referring to Silent Hill 2 Remake. Since it was the most recent Silent Hill game that had come out previous to this, the boss fights in there were really, for me, really tense.
They were, yeah.
And with this game, it's like, okay, big boss fight coming. Let's do this. Like,
Right.
just felt like, okay, I hope I'm equipped enough to deal with this boss. But other than that, I'm not feeling terrified. I'm not sitting at the edge of my seat, like, biting my fingernails, going, "Oh my god, what's this boss gonna do next?" Like, it was like you when you figure out the rhythm, it's like, oh, I don't know what
Well,
to do now.
well, yeah. I mean, plus you have to take into account that you and I, we grew up with the original or the original Silent Hill 2. So, this is a 23-year-old remake. 23 years later. So we're used to it based on our, the original. You know what I mean?
No, 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 no. I'm not even talking about that. I think what Silent Hill 2 remake did with those boss fights, they definitely amped them up a bit. What I'm talking about is Silent Hill F. When you get to that bell fight, I'm not saying that like Silent Hill F has like it's a remake to compare to something. My point is that Silent Hill 2 remake did a really good job on changing those boss fights, and all of a sudden now they're a bit scarier than the original title, because things are different here. Like, even you know when you fought Eddie, I'll use Eddie as a prime example. Like, he I learned that, I've learned that the mechanics of Eddie is like he actually teleports around. It's a very foggy area, and it's like he's just stalking you in there, and you don't know where he's coming from. And the next thing you know, you turn around and he's running at you, and you're like, "Oh, Jesus Christ!" Where, in this last boss fight that you and I had dealt with, again, going into the other world with the Bell fight, it was just like, okay, I just got to figure out how to avoid her from hurting me, and then I just got to keep hitting her. And like, she'd disappear, and then you'd see the light glowing, and you knew where to go. And I just like, my point is I feel like I'm using Silent Hill 2 remake as a comparison, because I feel like the boss fights in Silent Hill 2 remake were they left that tension, that fear was there. You didn't know what to expect. They changed things up from the original. This is a brand new title. I understand,
Yeah.
but like, okay, the monsters are big. Some of them are big. The boss fight that we dealt with there, um, but I wasn't scared. You know,
No.
I going back to like again what we were previous talking, the levels of fear that Silent Hill F are creating. I wasn't scared throughout that fight. It was
Mm-hmm.
just like, okay, well, and granted, I don't know if in hard mode that the weapons in the other world get damaged, but I knew right off the bat I could just keep swinging this fucking thing, and I'm not worried about it breaking.
Right.
So like that level of tension was taken away. All I had to do in that moment was figure out what this boss did, what their like, again, what the the placement and what their attacks were and the rhythm of it, and then once you figured out the rhythm, you just got through it.
Yeah.
Like, it was, and it was in such a like, such a very compact um area where it's not like there was anywhere for this boss to hide. Okay, the fog got a little bit brighter, but then a little bit crazier. But then there was a light, and I knew where she was.
Yeah.
So I just basically, at the end of the day, the initial like seeing the boss for the first time was like, whoa. And then once you got into the combat, that quickly dissipated. That whoa quickly dissipated for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, just like talking about in terms of fear and how much fear that the game is inducing in the player, um, like we talked about, like, just worrying about item management, worrying about weapon durability, and then, you know, things are starting to get. it's just not. It's not hitting where like. I know with Silent Hill 2 remake, I had goosebumps like a lot of the time.
Sure.
And it wasn't just from the audio, it was also just from the gameplay and, the changing of the boss fights and things that, you know, again, that immersion we talked about earlier, there was a lot of it in Silent Hill 2 remake where I feel like some of that has got lost in Silent Hill F.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I am loving the game so far.
Yeah, same here.
But there is a part of me I don't feel like it's like, it's hitting me in a certain way where other titles that I've played in the past have hit me.
Right. I understand.
What about you?
Yeah.
Anything you want to like, is there anything that you would like to add to that or?
Yeah, I mean, that the bell boss being the main boss that I've stumbled across. I mean, there was that flower boss right as you were going to the back to the shop.
Mm. Oh yeah.
I mean, you obviously can bypass that thing, but me being stubborn and the trophy hunter that I am, I found out that there's a trophy for taking that thing down one time.
Okay.
And then I just, I took it down and then I reloaded the save because I wasn't gonna. It was a pain in the ass knocking that fucker down because you had the smaller enemies around you. But yeah, really, that's kind of. So far, I'm gonna probably be eating my words here soon enough. but I don't know. It's the bosses are lackluster. It's like, okay, we're pretty far in the game right now, and we've only technically come across one boss.
Yeah.
One major boss.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, where the fuck are the other bosses?
Yeah. I'm right there with you, dude. I do share a similar feeling there, and like I'm right. I'm sure I'll be eating my words too, at some point. But as of right now, I feel like we're coming like unless there's other topics you wanted to talk about.
No.
I feel like as we're coming to like the close here. As of right now, granted, neither one of us have beaten it, but as of right now, out of 10, 10 being the best, 1 being the worst, how would you rate this game through your experience so far?
I'll give it a solid 8.
Okay,
despite my bitching,
No, it's fine. Again, this is a show that like we've put together to talk about our thoughts and our feelings and our opinions on the games that we enjoy and the titles and the franchises that we've been following for so long. So, I'm right there with you. I am enjoying the game despite what despite how it might have sounded in today's episode.
Yeah, right.
But for me right now, I give it a 7. I'll give it like a 7. Yeah. I'll stay at a 7. 7 out of 10. I think, I am very interested to see how the rest of this goes.
Yeah.
But I am, in terms of like with everything we've discussed, I'm going to give it a 7. And again, that's with combat, weapons, item management, the other world, the characters, the graphics, the atmosphere, the audio, and the one boss, like the one like main boss fight that we've gone through so far.
Yeah.
This is just how I feel right now. And as we continue through with our first playthroughs, Of course, like, for anybody that's watching this right now, um, this is just the part one, and then when Grim, when you and I finish the game, we'll come back for a part two and just see how much has changed at that point for us, and compared to like this episode, and then how much of the story and things like that kind of hit us throughout the rest of the playthrough.
Yeah, yeah. I might. Knowing me, I'll probably have a different opinion to some extent after I actually either get further in my current playthrough or I finish my first playthrough.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for right now, again, despite my what I had said, like lackluster in bosses and so on, I'm giving it an 8. I'm giving it an 8.
All right, dude. Well, as always, thank you for taking taking time out of the day. Like, we had an opportunity to get together and record episode 4 to our viewers on YouTube. Hope you enjoy the video. If so, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. It definitely helps us out. If you want to watch the show through Grim's perspective, be sure to check out his channel. I'll have his channel in the description as well. And again, thank you so much, everybody, for all the love and support you've shown us so far. And let us know in the comments how you feel about Silent Hill F so far, if you played it. And again, Grim, always a good time shooting the shit with you, brother.
Yeah, you too, man.
Have a fantastic rest of your evening. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great night. We'll catch you in the next episode. Take it easy, Mal.
See you guys next time.